The phone rang at exactly 11 p.m., slicing through the silence that had become my closest companion. I stared at the glowing screen, convinced it had to be a mistake. My heart stopped when I saw the name I hadn't seen in nearly 8 years, Rachel, my ex-wife. The woman whose voice I had buried beneath years of regret, loneliness, and unanswered prayers. I had spent countless nights wondering what I would say if I ever heard from her again. But when that moment finally arrived, every word disappeared, leaving only a pounding heartbeat and trembling hands. Sometimes life gives us one last chance when we've already convinced ourselves the story is over. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep bringing stories that remind us all that love can find its way back when we least expect it. My name is Nathan, and I lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio. After my divorce, the house that once echoed with laughter became painfully still. Every room carried memories I could never escape. The kitchen reminded me of Sunday breakfasts, the living room still held the shadow of movie nights, and the front porch became the place where I often sat alone wondering how two people who once promised forever could become strangers. Our marriage had not ended because of betrayal or cruelty. It had ended because of pride, exhaustion, and the 1,000 tiny wounds that neither of us had bothered to heal until they became impossible to ignore. We stopped listening. We stopped forgiving. Eventually, we stopped trying. The divorce papers had been signed without dramatic scenes or angry outbursts. In many ways, that made everything hurt even more. Rachel packed her belongings, looked at me with eyes full of sadness instead of anger, and quietly walked away. I told myself I would move on. Friends insisted time healed everything, but time only taught me how to hide the pain better. I buried myself in work as a building inspector, filling every hour with inspections, reports, and endless routines. The busier I became, the quieter my heart grew, but it never truly healed. Every Christmas I wondered where she was. Every birthday I caught myself remembering hers. I never remarried because every attempt to begin again felt dishonest. It wasn't that I believed Rachel would return, I simply couldn't replace what we once had even though I had helped destroy it. Regret became my daily companion, whispering reminders of the words I should have spoken and the apologies I should have made years earlier. That autumn evening had been ordinary. Rain tapped gently against the windows while I sorted through old boxes in the attic. Inside one dusty carton, I discovered photographs from our honeymoon in the Smoky Mountains, faded postcards, and a tiny silver ornament Rachel had once insisted we buy because she believed every Christmas deserved a new memory. I smiled through tears before placing everything back inside the box. I never imagined that only a few hours later, the past would suddenly become my present. When the phone finally stopped ringing, I realized I had never answered it. Seconds later, it rang again. This time I forced myself to answer. The voice on the other end sounded older, softer, and weighed down by years neither of us had shared. Rachel wasn't calling to reopen old arguments or revisit painful memories. She called because she had nowhere else to turn. Her father had recently passed away after a long illness. Her mother was suffering from early dementia, and after losing her job, she found herself completely overwhelmed. She admitted that calling me had taken weeks of courage because she wasn't asking for love or forgiveness. She was simply asking if I knew of anyone who could help care for her mother until she found her footing again. The moment I heard the exhaustion in her voice, something inside me changed. All the bitterness I thought I had carried vanished almost instantly. I remembered the woman who used to volunteer at food drives, who stayed awake comforting sick neighbors, and who believed that compassion mattered more than pride. I realized I didn't remember the woman who left. I remembered the woman I had once promised to stand beside no matter what. The following morning I took time off work and drove across the city to meet her. Seeing Rachel again felt like opening a book I had never truly finished reading. Time had placed gentle lines across her face, but her kindness still shined through tired eyes. She looked fragile, yet there was quiet strength in the way she cared for her mother despite carrying so much grief herself. We spoke carefully at first, almost like strangers learning each other's language again. Yet with every passing hour the awkwardness slowly disappeared. Over the next several weeks, I helped wherever I could. I repaired broken steps outside her mother's home, drove them to doctor's appointments, handled paperwork, and cooked meals neither of them had the energy to prepare. None of it felt forced. It simply felt right. The walls we had built over 8 long years slowly crumbled, replaced by honest conversations we should have had long before our marriage ended. We admitted our mistakes without blaming each other. We acknowledged the pain we had caused. For the first time, neither of us tried to win. We only tried to understand. As winter approached, Rachel's mother began recovering enough to move into an assisted living community where she received excellent care. For the first time in months, Rachel could finally breathe without feeling the crushing weight of responsibility. One snowy evening, we returned to my old house to retrieve the forgotten box of photographs I had discovered. We spent hours remembering moments that had almost disappeared forever. We laughed at terrible hairstyles, old vacations, burned dinners, and countless ordinary memories that suddenly felt priceless. Somewhere between those photographs and quiet tears, we realized that love had never truly left. It had simply been buried beneath years of silence. Neither of us rushed into promises. Healing required patience. We attended counseling together, not because we were broken beyond repair, but because we refused to repeat the mistakes that had once separated us. We learned that forgiveness is not forgetting the past. It is choosing not to let the past control the future. Almost a year after that unforgettable 11 p.m. phone call, we stood together in a small church, surrounded by close friends and family. There were no extravagant decorations or grand celebrations. There were only 2 people who had learned that sometimes life offers miracles disguised as second chances. As I slipped a ring back onto Rachel's finger, I realized the greatest blessing wasn't getting my marriage back. It was becoming the man I should have been all along. If this story touched your heart, please write "Second chances still exist" in the comments below. We'd love to know where you're watching from and what this story meant to you. As this story comes to an end, if it reminded you that hope is never truly lost and that forgiveness can change lives, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories reach people who may be searching for hope in their own darkest moments. That unexpected phone call at 11 p.m. didn't erase the years of pain, nor did it magically rewrite the past. What it did was open a single door that neither of us believed still existed. Sometimes the greatest miracle isn't hearing a familiar voice again. It's discovering that the hearts behind those voices are still capable of healing. Life rarely gives us perfect endings, but every so often it gives us something even more beautiful: the chance to write a better new beginning.